Let's go with this. What's Google mission? It's about organizing the world information and making it universally accessible and useful. The idea is that we have billions of users. If you look, I don't know how many products, but probably we have more than 5 products with 1 billion users. Every one of these users wants to access the information that he needs. So in Google mission, we want to make that information accessible but also useful, meaning we don't want fake news. We don't want you to see a lot of garbage. We want to make sure that the information you care about is easily accessible to you. If you look to this, who knows who are those two guys? The speaker cannot lift their hands. Okay, this is Larry and Sergey. When about 20 years ago, they were in school, they decided, you know what? Let's do something innovative. Let's do something different. And this is a very important point to highlight, and you will see me highlighting this during the presentation, the word innovation. Who remember something called Alta Vista? I know it will show your age, but sorry about that. Who knows? Okay, I know. Okay, the Alta Vista, no one knows about it now. Alta Vista used to be the #1 in search 20 years ago. It's gone. If you look to Yahoo search, where is Yahoo search? If you look to many products, where are they? The key difference between Google, and I worked in many companies, and any other company, is innovation is an essential part of the company. And I want you, as student and as a developer, to always think about innovation. So let's cover some of those items. Because the reason we focus on innovation is without innovation, you will disappear. If you say, okay, Google has 1 billion user in search, and let's stop there. Someone else will come and innovate and will pass Google. So let's talk about this. What is this? If you answer this correctly, you'd get a pen, or double pen, because we'll give you a pen by default. Now, what's the name project? Okay, whoever says Loon, I'll give you a gift. So a few years back, some of the engineers in Google says, look, 2 out of 3 people in the world don't have access to internet. They live in far-away cities or desert. Obviously, government is not going to build a cable or internet to access theirs. So he says, how about I come up with a balloon that go to a certain elevation in atmosphere and beam Wi-Fi to the users. If you think about it, like balloon and going to the sky and beaming Wi-Fi, how long it will stay? It's like, this is like crazy. True, yeah? Who remember what happened last year in October and November in Puerto Rico? Okay, you get gifts as well. So there was a big hurricane in Puerto Rico where it destroyed all the infrastructure. Within 6 weeks, this project that started 5 years ago, Google deployed it to Puerto Rico. And people could not contact their family. There was like the whole infrastructure was down, all the cell towers were down. And we worked with the telcos, we worked with the government. Within 6 weeks, we were able to get 100,000 people to connect to their family. The idea behind this is sometimes you come up with a crazy idea, and people will tell you, this is crazy, don't waste your time. Sometimes you have to believe in yourself. Yes, you have to double check. Yes, you have to fail fast. Try to always fail fast so you don't waste a lot of time, but believe in your ideas and pursue them. Of course, the self-driving car is now known, but the same thing. 20 years ago, when you look, who watched the movie Back to the Future? Yeah, so you look and you say, yeah, that's like, no way it's going to happen. So I'll show you one thing here in the video. The idea behind this is you will see the car driving on the bottom left, and then you see the modeling of the environment. The car has hundreds of sensors. It will detect objects, and it will mark them in purple rectangle. And you see here the representation, whenever it's driving, it's detecting like, are they like, oh, there's a car on the right, it's overlapping my rectangle and that rectangle is overlapping, therefore there's a danger, I need to move a little bit on the left. So all of this is telling you that, like here, people are passing or drivers are passing, that sometimes you have a complex problem. If you think about it, wow, this is very complex, I'm not going to be able to do it, you have to divide it and model it in a way that you can handle it. So by doing all of overlapping and by doing a rectangle and modeling everything and understanding, like in this particular case, the guy left his left hand, it means he's passing. It detects that motion and it automatically says slow down, let him pass. So it's the same thing when you run into a problem in your life and you are trying to implement complex application, think about dividing it into different pieces, modeling it in a way that you can implement and program. With that, we'll go to the next one. When Google started, what was Google in the beginning? Okay, a search engine, what else? What? No. It was a desktop search engine. At that time, there was no smartphone. So if Google says, I'm #1 in search engine, no one is beating me, hey, I'm making money, good. The reality is, when we talk about technology, it changes every year, every month, every day. So you have to build innovation in every aspect of your life, not just technology. So we went from desktop to mobile. 5 years ago, there was a shift from desktop to mobile. Now, if you look to the future, right now we have trillions of searches happening. If you think about the future, 3, 4, 5 years, and again, when you are doing your product or creating your application, think about 3, 4 years, not just now. What is the user going to be needing in the future? And let me show you this video.
Okay, Google, turn on the hall lights.
Okay, Google, turn up the music.
Okay, Google, what's a good substitute for cardamom? Combine 1 part cinnamon and 1 part nutmeg.
Okay, Google, what sound does a whale make? Okay, Google, what's the weather?
Two babies dream.
How do you say nice to meet you in Spanish?
Encantada de conocerte.
Okay, Google, dim the downstairs lights.
Who uses Assistant every day? Who used Assistant like Siri or Cortana or any time in their lives? What we are seeing really, there is a shift from mobile to the assistant concept. If you look to the world, if you look to certain countries, Brazil, India, people don't know what desktop is. They know only smartphone. By 2020, 30% of the searches will be without a display. And you will see that shift happening more and more, that people don't want to type. But then when they type max, like me, 20 words. If you are good, maybe 40, 50, 60. When you speak at least 100 words in a minute. So when you're developing your app, you have to think about that as well. The good news, we have Mohandas Oman today with us, who is going to give you introduction in Google Assistant, but specifically with the dialogue flow that tell you exactly how to implement that. And we can talk about many applications that exist in our region, where they implemented something simple in a matter of hours. Again, if you are going to shopping, like my wife, She's going to add item to the list. If I go shopping many times, I look and I say, okay, if I forget something, I need to tell, okay, Google, add this to my list. When I go to sleep and I want to wake up like last night, I said, okay, Google, wake me at 7 a.m. tomorrow. So you will see that shift happening more and more and more. And the reason I'm focusing on assistant is this is just starting. So if you're thinking about a new product, new areas, think about the concept of assistant in every way possible. Democratization of AI. When we started doing a lot of development with the Brain team, who knows what AlphaGo is? AlphaGo. Okay, so this is a Chinese, very complex game. In 2016, I believe, too. I think late 2016, there was a competition that that game was supposed to be unbeatable by a machine. So the Brain team, which is an AI team within Google, developed an algorithm that in 2016, it was live, streamed to everyone in the world with millions of people watching. They beat the best player in the world. And since then, if you look to the AI, especially in Asia, to be honest with you, a lot of people were starting doing development using AI. In Google, we believe in open source. I'm assuming everyone knows what open source is. If you go to GitHub, if you look to what others developed, you can use their code. So the platform that we have been using for a few years is TensorFlow. It's an open source, and last year we launched the 1.0. This is accessible to everyone, so everyone can use it. And let me give you one example how easy it is. I'm not going to say how easy, but how someone who doesn't have a software engineering background was able to implement it. So this is an embedded engineer in Japan. His mom and dad work in a farm. They sort cucumber. Every day he sees his mom working for more than 8 hours sorting cucumber, and he says, this is not a core task in the farm. So he says, how can I help my mom? So he went to the GitHub, get the code for sorting, and then he implemented that in TensorFlow. And then because he's an embedded engineer, he implemented a machine that does that. When we talk about artificial intelligence and machine learning, the most important element, of course, is the algorithm, but second is the data. You have to have large number of data. So he started building the database, taking pictures of the different type he wants to select. So he has 2L, L, M. So the machine take the cucumber, take an image, process using the algorithm that he got from TensorFlow, and select and sort. And now his mom doesn't have to work 8 hours sorting. She can focus on other activity within the farm. So what I'm trying to illustrate by this is that you could also look to your daily life and say, can I use that? Again, it's in its infancy, but it's really going so fast. And if you look to the number of check-in GitHub in the last year, compared to any other algorithm, you see 44,500 check-in or stars in GitHub compared to the second one, which is far away. And the reason is because people started saying, wow, this is exciting. Yes, there's the hype. And of course, after the hype, there's a little bit of down. But this is also an opportunity for us to do development using AI, especially that is open source. You can see the code. This is an implementation. The same thing with Open Cloud. Google developed Kubernetes. Who knows what Kubernetes is? Okay. So we developed Kubernetes a few years back, and we had to make a decision. Should we keep it proprietary? Should we keep it within the house, or give it to everyone? And we decided, no, let's give it to everyone. And the main reason is, imagine you have a company with 100 developers, and a company that has access to 100,000 developers. Which one will be first from a technology point of view? And that's the open source, because we believe in giving back to the community, and we know by giving back to the community, that technology will progress much faster rate. Again, Google R Core, we went from a hardware solution using Tango last year to a software solution, Arcore, and we are deploying it to all Android phones. How are we doing with time? 9:10. Okay. Wow, I'm going to beat my own time. So we leave it for more questions. IoT. Who knows a name called Tony Fidel? Okay, you get the present, you get maybe multiple pens. No speaker can. Okay. Who knows Steve Jobs? Okay. Tony Fidel was number 2 for Steve Jobs. He's from Lebanon. I worked for Tony Fidel when I was in Google Nest. Tony Fidel was the main person behind iPad, iPod. He was the main engineer, and he was the main manager. A while back, he left Apple after Steve Jobs was out and sick and all of that, and he created Google Nest. Google Nest, who knows Google Nest? Okay. So he created Google Nest, and he says, I'm going to base this on open source as well. I'm going to create a technology that allow IoT, enable IoT. So when you look to the IoT, usually what you have communication between device to device, and then you have the communication between the device and to the cloud. When you look to the device-device communication, can you use Wi-Fi as the way to communicate between those two devices? Can you use Wi-Fi or not? Yes, of course. You can put Wi-Fi chip in every device. But do we really need, is it really a solution to use Wi-Fi? Okay, what was the answer?
Is there another solution instead of Wi-Fi?
Yeah, the issue, let me maybe give you an answer. The problem, the major problem when you talk about IoT, specifically when you have multiple devices connected, is the problem of power. If you have in those devices battery, and you are supposed to have battery because you cannot connect all the devices into power, then if you have a battery, that battery, first, that device is very small because it's a sensor. Therefore, the battery needs to be very small. But you have you cannot tell the customer, change the battery every week. You have to guarantee 5 years, 4 years. So the Wi-Fi solution doesn't work. Because Wi-Fi, first, is expensive. I mean, it's $1 or maybe 50 cents, but still expensive from a consumer point of view. The second is it will consume a lot of power. So Zigbee, who knows Zigbee? Okay, great. So Zigbee implemented like the mesh network, implemented a new protocol, but even with Zigbee, there was a limitation in how do we connect the devices into the cloud. That's where Thread 802.15 protocol was created 2 years ago. In fact, it started like 5 years ago, but we announced it 2 years ago by Google, Samsung, Silicon Lab. So it's a really low power device or chip that allow you to communicate between devices. So now that you are able to communicate between the devices, what you need only one device that connects you to the cloud via Wi-Fi. So those devices, we communicate the data to what we call the border router, and then the border router connected to the Wi-Fi. So the first one is the thread. It's a very secure communication. The second, when you communicate to the cloud, we use another product which is called Weave, which is a really secure protocol to do that communication. I was lucky that my first job in Google was to manage that team that created those two technologies. So within that, there's something called Open Thread. It's open source. First, you could go and look for Open Thread, and we'll send you all the information online so you can start implementing. The second thing is we have online a simulator where you are going to say, I want to create product X, and that product X will get the temperature from the Google Nest thermostat, will get the information from the smoke detector, will get the information from the door lock that we created as well. And then you can mimic what you want to create. We'll send you that information as well. With that, let's go to community empowerment, or our focus in Google on community. First, if you are developers, here your place you should go. developers.google.com. All the code labs, all the slides, all the information about API, all the information about communities exist here. In Google, we believe in transparency, but also in sharing. So all of the information we have, we don't hide it. We give it to everyone so that it can help them. The good news is, like last year when we talked to Lena, Ahmed, and Pakiza, and many others about creating a GDG, a Google Developer Group, we always wanted to create something in Bahrain. And in fact, it used to exist a few years back. But for different reasons and multiple issues, it started very strong, but then it died out. And what we focus on is how can we recreate this community, but make it very clear that this community is open to everyone. Everyone can be an organizer. Everyone can be a member. This is not an exclusive club. This is like an open source. You meet with people on a regular basis and you learn together. If I have some knowledge in Android, I can approach the organizer and say, I would like to train and hear my session, 1 hour session. Can you schedule something? The reason I'm stressing on the community is 10 years ago when we looked, we said in Google, how can we help get the technology closer to the developer? Google cannot open offices everywhere in the world. So we have an online platform that everyone can access, but the reality is, if you don't know that it exists, how do you know? So the idea is to get it closer to everyone by creating those groups in every city. In 2016, we had 24 cities, 24 GDG in Middle East and North Africa. Right now, we have 65. We created another 40. And GDG Manama is one of the top GDG we created. Go ahead, please. The reality is, first, I can't comment on Google opening offices, but the reality is that there are different strategies, correct? There are companies where it say, we'll open offices everywhere in every country, and mostly those offices are what? Sales, correct? In Google, we believe in engineering. It's an engineering company, and we want to help people. So creating Google Developer Group is one way to help people. Sales, you can have sales everywhere, the reality is. But again, like I know that the teams in Google always look to how we can expand in the Middle East or North Africa. Thank you very much for, please, if you have any question, ask. Let's look a little bit to the program we have. So we talked about GDG, and Ustada Lena, she presented the GDG. The second program is Google Developer Expert. Who knows about Google Developer Expert, other than that, my speakers and GDG? The idea is we want to empower technical experts who loves giving back to the community. So the 3 people who are speakers today are Google Developer Experts. They have their own company. They work for McKinsey. They have their own startup. They work for another big Vadan that is a big company in Europe. But they are passionate about giving back to the community. So we were in the road, I'm not sure if you're aware of that, for the last 12 days. We did 10 events. We came back last night at 1 a.m. came from Khobar. We have another event this afternoon in Khobar again. We went to Riyadh, Abu Dhabi, because we love meeting community and developer and listening to you. We are not here just to tell you things. We want to listen to you and your struggle. So when we come back, we'll try to help you. Let me go to the Woman Tech Maker. The idea is, first let me maybe break this stereotype. People always think Middle East or North Africa, and they think, oh, women are not like, in technology, and they might not be interested there. The reality is that the Middle East or North Africa, if you look to all of our events, the percentage of women attending the event, guess what? Is it number 1? Is it number 5? Is it number 3? It's number 1, by far. 35% of all of our events that we did last year, 600 events, we were number 1 in the world. The second was not even close. So but in the same time, the translation between when we look to colleges and the number of women graduating from colleges, and then you go back to the workforce or the work, and you look to the translation, the reality in many countries, the drop is so drastic. In certain countries, 60% of the graduates are women. You go to the job market, what do you find? 20% at best. So there is an issue there. So in Google, we are trying to first encourage more women to sign up to this Women Take Makers, so we can give them more opportunity to train, for leadership, to discuss their problem. But also when we have conferences, we say, hey, there's a conference in this area, do you want to attend? And then we are starting to work more heavily with local entities to provide opportunity for women. So example, like we focused the last few weeks on specific country where we say, let's create train 100,000 women and men in digital skills. Let's do like innovation hub. And we are going to start working also in Bahrain to see how we can help the ecosystem. So stay tuned. So we talked about this, we talked about design thinking. Also one aspect that we are trying to do is really give an opportunity for people across the world to go and attend Google I/O. Who knows what Google I/O is? Okay. So Google I/O is our biggest, largest developer conference. It's in Mountain View, it's California. It's between, usually around the month of May. The good news is today, that's our first prize we are going to announce, we are going to offer 2 free I/O tickets for next year event. So you say, yeah, it's tickets, so what? The Google I/O ticket, you cannot get them. You have to register a month in advance, and there is 100,000 people registering to the event, and then there is a lottery that you have to run, and then 2,000 people are chosen, and then you have to pay $1,150 for the ticket. We will give you the ticket for free. So 2 people will do a random generator. It's all about computer science. And then we'll choose 2 people. Or maybe if we find another way to choose those 2 people, we'll do that. Also, when I talked about Google Assistant, we are going to give 3 Google Assistants today. So we are trying to share as much as possible. This is talking about, this is a project that we launched really in Saudi Arabia. But the reality is we launched 2 programs there, and let me show you this.
We developed a program that we believe can help build these digital skills and capabilities. Today, we are excited to introduce Maharat Men Google, a free digital skills building program for everyone, but with a special focus on women in this region. Together with local partners, we'll help women build up their skills, take advantage of the incredible opportunities that exist today, and create new ones. We are proud to bring Maharat to the region and look forward to seeing more people grow their careers, reach their goals, and shape the digital future of the Arab world. Shukran.
So Maharat Men Google is a program that we are launching not in one country, but we are launching in all 16 countries, 16 out of 19 in the Middle East and North Africa. So Bahrain is part of that. And we are going to work with local entities to see how we can not just train 100,000, but hopefully train 200,000.